What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Coffee and Van Chats on the Out of Bounds Network. My name is John Kroom, and I'm sitting here with Danny Estevez of Best Buddies Cycling. The show's kind of ran by Michael Hernandez over there. And yeah, he's pretty much recruited all the pros and all the legit dudes for 2021 and on to 2022. So we're going to sit down with Crit National Champion, Road Race National Champion, Danny Estevez. How you doing, Danny?
I'm doing good, man. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, no worries.
Believe it or not, it's my first podcast.
It's your first podcast, man. So like, I know they have the Criterium Nation podcast. Has anybody reached out to you about a podcast?
No, you're kind of the first one. I know Criterium Nation. I was supposed to go on there.
Yeah.
But it's just the communication and all the things that I've been doing. I've just been so busy that we couldn't jog the time. But
yeah. So like even this was like it wasn't really hard to get you on, but you have a real job, dude. What do you do for a living?
Yeah. So I actually, my family and I, we own an adult day healthcare center.
Okay.
So we provide services for frail adults and seniors who can't care for themselves at home. And we have a facility where we bring them over on a daily basis and provide their personal care, medication management, nutrition, rehab, kind of like an all-in-one.
Wow.
In this daily service. So yeah, it's super rewarding to make a difference in people's lives. And yeah, but it's stressful, it's busy, because I have to manage about 20 staff, and between 45 and 55 individuals per day.
Jeez.
So
yeah, no, that sounds hectic,
it's a lot,
man. Yeah. So tell me a little bit about you, man. Like I think first I heard about you. You were somewhere, I want to say the Dominican Republic. You were on Butcher Box. You won a race, and then boom, this is when I hear about Danny Estevez. So
yeah,
tell your story a little bit, like because you have a background in cycling before that. So let's hear that.
Sure. So I actually started competing as a cyclist and all when I was like 9 years old.
Okay.
So I raced in DR for 2 years, and I was national champ for mountain biking national champ. So that's how I started. That's how I got started into the sport. But before then, I was like traveling back and forth from the US to DR. But at the age of 16, I kind of landed with Hot Tubes development cycling team. So from the age of 16 to 18, I did 3 years with that program, which it changed my life for the better, off the bike, also on the bike. So at that time, I was one of the top juniors in the nation. So it was myself, Ben King on that team on a couple of, those years. Caleb Fairley, who went on to be with Shimano, what was it? A giant Shimano at the time.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was just Nick Bax, a couple other guys that were on that team. I mean, Hot Tubes is always stacked. A lot of people I didn't make it further because although I was, really good as a junior, I never did national championships ever. Not on the track, not on the road. So I never exposed myself nationally like that.
Why is that?
Because I wasn't a citizen back then.
Okay.
So I couldn't do those events, which during those times, nationals was it for any junior that wanted to make it pro or at least get the European experience. But I never had the opportunity to do nationals. Nationals this year was actually my first nationals ever.
Whoa.
So
right on.
So I definitely made up for all the years
for lost time. Yeah.
Yeah.
For lost time.
So then after hot tubes, I kind of quit the sport to dedicate it to getting an education. So I did that. Went to college. I raced for my collegiate team. I went to Lindsey Wilson College for 2 years.
Okay.
They offered a full-time scholarship for cyclists at the time. I don't know if they still do. And then I ultimately graduated from Clark University. But after I left Lindsey Wilson, I completely gave up the sport. I was like vaguely doing it while I was at Lindsey. I wasn't fully into it like that. I was just doing it just to get an education. And I still got some good results then. But I completely gave up when I was 20 years old.
Okay.
So I was out of the sport for 10 years, 10 and a half years. Didn't ride a bike, not even a single pedal stroke.
Wow.
So fast forward 10 years, and here I am. I find myself really overweight. I was about 210 pounds or so.
Yeah.
Like 2.5 years ago.
Okay.
So I strictly came back to the sport for health. So in 2019, I did a semi full season where I like raced locally and like a couple of regional races, but I raced by myself. And I went to Harlem that year and I got fourth in that race, but Justin was there, Legion was there. And I got fourth. And after that race, that's when Butcher Box came into the picture and we started talking. And at that point, I was, I was only doing that for health and to keep healthy. I didn't want the responsibility of being on a team or anything like that. But then again, I spent so much money sponsoring myself that I kind of took that on.
Yeah.
So I made a 3-year goal for me just to see, like, just to answer questions that I wanted to answer, like if I was still competitive, what can I prove to myself? And, I just wanted to see if I was still one of the top guys, despite the fact that I've been out of the sport for so long. And so I created this 3-year plan. And technically 2020 was supposed to be year one with Butcher Box, but 2020 didn't happen. And so, fast forward to 2021, there was a lot of things that happened in the off season that kind of, propelled me for, the season that I had this year. And I began my season with Butcher Box this year in 2021, but we had some, disagreements, and unfortunately I had to part ways. And I ended up joining Best Buddies. And
Can you
which is
can you talk about that parting of ways, or would you rather not?
I mean, there was nothing to it, honestly. I don't want to go, too much into it, but I mean, it's just a lot of politics involved in it and legal things that I don't want to say the wrong thing on here, but
I get you.
yeah, I just didn't want to.
I didn't even think it gets that legal at that level.
No, not. I mean, not that legal, honestly. But I mean, I just want to, I don't want to say anything and for people to take it the wrong way.
For sure.
But for me, and I'm not a regular guy that just rides bikes all day and sits in a couch and puts their legs up and I don't do that because I have like you said, a full-time job, and I also have 3 kids, a wife, so I have to juggle between the 3. And there were just some things that were happening that I needed a little bit more structure.
Yeah.
And that's what made me, I ultimately just, made the switch, for many reasons, but Best Buddies was a better option for me at the time. So
yeah, what's it like having Michael Hernandez as a director?
Dude, it's he's amazing. He's
Yeah, I think it's crazy because he's a lot younger than all of you guys, and
yeah,
I would say I
he's the
wouldn't necessarily.
youngest.
Yeah, I was about to say I wouldn't necessarily think that he's experienced less. I mean, he's raced. I mean, we raced Tour California. Like, I mean, he's got experience, but I mean, what's it like working with one of the youngest guys as your director, almost?
um, dude, so when you he's so beyond his years. It's
Yeah,
actually quite impressive. You sit down with him and have a conversation, you wouldn't even know he's like 22 years old,
yeah,
24. He's so mature. He handles things with dignity and respect, and he really cares. Yeah, and he really understands what riders really need in order to be happy within a team or an organization. Because he's been there and done it. With
yeah, yeah.
him being a pro, so he kind of knows what infrastructure we need to have and what makes his riders happy. But it's actually it's actually pretty cool. I mean, he's great. I mean, I don't know what else to say about him, but the kid, he has it well put together. So
No, that's sick.
um the moment that he called me, just to kind of finish off on the transition,
Yeah, yeah.
um he called me after, you know weeks after we did an event in Panama.
That's what. Okay.
Yeah, so Panama, I did Butcher Box. I did the Panamanian event with Butcher Box, and that was gonna be like my trial to kind of prove myself to the team that I was still,
Okay.
I still had it.
Yeah, yeah.
And then Panama happened, and we won, you know, two of the four stages, and we came out of it with the sprinter's jersey, and second in the GC behind Travis. And I tease Mike about this all the time, but I told him that if I didn't have some messed up things that happened to me on stage one, we probably would have won the race.
Yeah.
It was a weird magnet that landed on my cassette right as I was about to sprint, and Connor was leading me out. And when I was shifting into my 13, 12, and 11, my the chain hit that magnet, and my chain fell off. But Travis and I had such a big gap, to everybody else, that I didn't pedal for like 100 meters, and I still ended up fourth.
Wow.
So, but yeah, so Panama happened, and the team was like, "Holy crap!" Like, we got the finishing piece to the puzzle. Um, and then after that, that's when things like fell off a little bit, and that's when I made the jump to Best Buddies. Um, and we've been doing what we have been doing ever since. So,
Yeah, yeah.
you know,
No, because that your move started crit beef,
yeah,
right? Am I
yeah.
not wrong? Like
I
your
was the
initial
face
move.
of Crip Beef.
Yeah, you're the face of crit beef because I've had Travis on this podcast, but the file got corrupted, so I never got to post it. But um, I've had Justin as well, and so it's funny because I've had Lucas Bourgoin who just feels the need to
Yeah,
insert himself in crit beef as well,
yeah,
because he loves it. But I think what was interesting about you is that you kind of had your own thing going on with Butcher Box, like you were dealing with that shit, and
yeah,
then and then
yeah,
you have Travis and Justin dealing with some other shit over
yeah,
here, and then you have random onesies and twosies sprinters that are trying to insert themselves in the shit as well.
yeah,
And so it's
yeah,
just
yeah,
a big mess that got created, but it almost turned it into a UFC fight. I mean, in its own
yeah,
weird way, but like a big ass tag team match.
yeah.
Um, so now
It's been
going
fun.
yeah, yeah, I was about to say it's probably been fun. But going forward and fast forwarding through some of that,
Yeah,
you know, you made the move to Best Buddies, which, we'll dive into what that team is and what they're about
yeah,
here in a second. But
yeah.
what was, what was the initial move like with even with all the crit beef? Were you nervous? Was it like, oh shit, what did I get myself into? Or like, because you're riding with Travis and Eric and those guys. And I mean, those guys are your age, right? But they kind of came into the sport after you.
It's weird, yeah. So both of them came to the sport like way after I did because I started cycling when I was a teenager, like competitively speaking.
Yeah.
But they have way more experience than I do, because through my layoff, they were, killing it in their careers,
Yeah.
and riding for so many pro teams. And I mean, those two guys alone, they've won, a lot of bike races in America. So, um, but the best buddies, the team, in general, like before I came on, they already knew what kind of role I was gonna be. I was gonna be it for them. For Travis, and I mean, I love the guy, and I have so much respect for him and his career. For everybody on that team, really, for them to like sacrifice themselves and kind of say, "Hey, like there is this kid that's faster than me right now, and we want to do what we can to like get the team some wins and spread the message about best buddies by winning and bringing that to the table." To me, that's like so humbling,
Yeah.
because I didn't expect that at all. Like, here's this like unknown, and we're gonna sacrifice us winning so that we can use him to win, because we know that he's faster than we are, in the last 300 meters. But the guys in Butcher Box also had the same idea as well.
Yeah.
But it just, unfortunately, it didn't work out.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, so when it's been a humbling experience to say the least, because when we sit down and talk about racing and how we're going to approach a race, it's been a trial and error for most of the year, because we, brand new guys trying to figure each other out and trying to see what the best way possible it is to win, these crits that we go into. A lot of the things that we talked about didn't work, but some did. And so the later part of the season, we really clicked and we really gelled together. And obviously it's paid off. It's like it showed in, the past 3-4 USA crit races. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
So with things clicking,
Yeah.
I mean, you've heard the news. There's 100K crit
Yeah.
at the end of the month. So are you guys gonna show how well you're clicking? Are you guys
um,
done for the season? What's
I,
happening?
I don't I don't know. We're still talking about it. But I
Yeah.
know we got Winston-Salem coming up this week. And then after that, we have to talk to Mike and the organization to see if I know that we have a Best Buddies challenge ride in California that same day. So I don't know if it'll actually work out or not.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so we all have to be there, but I don't know if we're gonna set this race as a priority to actually do it as a team.
Well, then
So
that being said, being that you have to be somewhere, people are gonna look at you like you're nuts. So let's talk
yeah,
about why that's more important. So what is Best Buddies, man?
man, Best Buddies is a wonderful organization, and part of the reason why I also made the jump, because it kind of ties into what I do
Yeah.
for my business. But Best Buddies is an organization that pretty much advocates for individuals with intellectual disabilities. Um, and our goal is to raise awareness and inclusion for those individuals,
Yeah.
for them to have an equal opportunity and similar socialization with normal, quote unquote, individuals, so that they feel included, and just bring this message of inclusion to this, to our buddies, and make them feel part of us, of who we are.
Yeah.
And it kind of hits home for me because, you know, those are the same type of individuals that that my business cares for day in and day out. And so it really hit home for me to race for them and to have a purpose other than to say, oh, I just want to win bike races.
Yeah.
You know, so now we have a bigger picture to fill at these events. That's why at USA Crit races, that's why a lot of people have been seeing pictures of buddies with us in podiums, and just making them feel part of the whole of us, of the team, of, you know, just the general public, and to fill that gap, right?
Yeah.
And also to just raise awareness into these USA Crit cities that we go to that we may not have per se, you know, our organization in those cities, you know, for us to create awareness to be able to do so as well.
Yeah.
So
No, I think that's super cool what you guys are doing. And I mean, I remember when I saw it kind of come together and come out, and like, to me, it's one of the only teams with a solidified mission that's actually successful. And what I mean by that is like a team that's actually putting it on paper and then putting it out into action, which is
yeah,
really cool. Cause I think I remember seeing it at Spartanburg, and I'm not gonna lie, the negative Nancy in me was like, I don't know how long this is gonna last. They've been at every single race, and now there's
yeah,
like a Best Buddies Give Back Preem,
yeah, yeah,
which
yeah,
is
yeah, yeah,
really, it's super cool. So guys,
yeah,
if you want to check out Best Buddies and kind of just see what that team's doing, not just the team, but actually see what the organization that is sponsoring
yeah,
this team is doing, I'm put that link in the description below. But Danny, before I let you go, I got two more questions, and
yeah,
this one is, you know, you had a 3-year plan, dude.
yeah.
And I don't know if when COVID happened, I don't know if you pushed that or if you were like, oh crap, now it's a 2-year plan. So I guess that's my first question. And then the latter half of that question is where do we see Danny in 2022? Cause I know there's gotta be some dudes and people trying to figure out how to get you on a team for next year.
Yeah,
Am I
yeah,
wrong?
yeah.
Am I wrong?
No.
Yeah.
So I'll answer the first part of the question. So you're right. I did push my year one to this year. And I actually didn't anticipate this year of going the way that it has, but Jesus, I mean, it's gone so well that I can't, you know, it's been really successful from, I mean, I started my season in February in Dominican Republic racing La Vuelta. You know, I got three top fives, including a second place there, literally coming off the trainer.
Jeez.
Because I can't train in the winter here much because I live in Boston and it snows like crazy.
Okay.
Um, so did that, and then Panama won 2 stages, second overall. I kept winning local races in between. Uh, then fast forward to Tulsa, where the whole crit beef was like our first reunion of all of that. And ended up getting third to Justin and Corey. Then nationals, winning road race and crit. Then to the later part of the season, winning a couple more USA crit races. I mean, I can't ask for more than that for
Yeah.
year one.
Yeah.
So now, you know, year two, I have to up the ante. So if I was decent this year, next year, I want to be way stronger than I was this year. So that's the first goal, is to be able to represent best buddies and do better at all the events that I go to, but also do the Stars and Stripes, you know, justice.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, I want to be able to be competitive at both road races and crits. As far as teams for next year, I'm staying with Best Buddies. I love, you know, the team, the organization, what it stands for. And at this point in my career, I don't want to be jumping around, even if I have, you know, like, let's say even a pro team hits me up, like, hey, you know, would you like the opportunity to race with us? Um, you know, it's flattering, but you know, I'm having fun,
Yeah.
and And so I don't want to ruin that to, give up technically my family and my job for, you know, um, to dedicate myself to a pro career when I know it's not going to last that long anyway. So,
Yeah.
I'm planning to finish off my career with Best Buddies. Um, so we'll see what happens. But yeah, 2022 I'll be with Best Buddies again, and yeah, I can't wait to get things rolling for next year already. So
Nah, that's dope, dude. I mean, it's really cool to hear that, they'll be around next year. And
yeah,
with the way you guys' success is going, I can only imagine it being bigger, bigger and better
yeah.
kind of
I mean,
thing.
yeah,
So
it's been unreal. For Mike to put this together in November of last year, and I mean, we've won a lot of races this year, man.
yeah,
For a first year team, I mean, that's pretty good. And like you said, we had a lot of success, and we just want to continue adding on to that for next year. So hopefully, there's more people that get to learn about our team and who we are, and and support us so that we can continue growing it. Because right now, man, I mean, respect to all the teams that are out there. Great competitors, and we have fun. But I know we've been given Legion, you know, a battle to run for their
yeah.
money.
I was about to
So
say you guys are probably the only team that can give them a run for their money. I mean,
yeah,
especially I was teammates with Summerhill, and that motherfucker can just ride the front of any crit for like from lap
yeah,
1 to lap 100. It's just like I don't
yeah,
get it,
yeah,
and
yeah,
sometimes almost to a fault. That man's insane. So,
yeah. He's
uh,
super strong.
yeah,
But
yeah,
the good thing out of this year is that I'll end the conversation on this. Like, friendships are born at unprecedented times,
yeah,
and that's what this whole crit beef thing did, at least for me, publicly. I mean, this whole thing between Justin and Travis at first was so heated, and although I was like kind of the face of it, and uh, sort of created this whole argument. Justin and I became amazing friends
that's cool, man.
through the
He's a cool
season.
guy. Yeah, so
He is. So for us to kind of gel together and like just talk shit and
yeah,
just be friends, and it actually, it means a lot. And those guys actually brought the spark back in me to be competitive again. So I thank them for kind of, setting that fire up. So but
nah,
we get along great, and we race competitive, but in a friendly manner, and it's all fun and games. So it's all love.
nah,
So
that's
there's no
sick,
crit
dude.
beef. So there's no crit
Nah,
beef
there's
anymore.
there's never crit beef when you see Travis and Justin hugging after Tulsa.
Yeah.
That's not what all the mean fans wanted to see. They wanted to see
No,
it come to blows,
it's
but
actually good for the sport, man. You need
it's so
some type
good.
of rivalry so
Yeah,
that
it's so good.
that so it can grow. So I mean, it definitely generated people's interest. That's for sure.
For sure.
So at least
Yeah,
watching, right? So
for sure. I mean, I would love to have seen like the difference in the pay-per-view standings of a Tulsa if it like actually had to pay to play. But last
yeah,
question for you.
yeah, man.
And this is like usually like this is the infamous question that I ask every podcast guest. So if you've had the pleasure of listening to my podcast, you'll know the question. If you don't listen to the podcast, you won't know the question. And so
Yeah.
the question is, if you could have a cup of coffee with one individual, who would that individual be, dead or alive? And then how would you take your coffee? If you don't drink coffee, beverage of choice.
Man, coffee is extremely important, right?
Yeah, yeah. Well, see, dude, I've had it the other way around where people are like, "Well, I don't drink coffee, or I don't like caffeine, or can I do a
Yeah.
beer because this individual probably won't drink coffee with me?" That kind of thing.
Oh my God. If I had to drink a cup of coffee, and I love this dude. If it wasn't because of him, I wouldn't be where I'm at today in life. I would have it with Toby Stanton
Okay.
from Hot Tubes Development Cycling Team.
Yeah, yeah.
And what's the second half of that question again?
How would you take your coffee, and why?
Uh,
So like, why
How
would
would
you
I
have
take
coffee
it?
with this guy, and then how would you take your coffee?
So the reason why we have coffee with him is because every time I sit down with him, I leave with many life lessons in less than a 15-minute personal conversation.
That's awesome.
He's so motivational, and he inspires you to be a better human being. And he's been my mentor ever since I've been 15 years old. So, and every time I sit down with him, the conversation is so meaningful that, you can't take it for granted.
Yeah.
So I will definitely, and I talk to him often, but that's the one guy that I will definitely share a cup of coffee with. And the same thing, and he just made such a big difference in my life, but in the life of other juniors that have been on his team. A lot of people don't really get to see that often, but he stays in quite a bit involved, even beyond the junior years. Um, so definitely him. And how would I take it? Like you mean?
Like black cappuccino,
Oh,
you
yeah.
know.
So I'm a big latte guy.
All right.
So I'm a cappuccino. He might be straight black,
Yeah.
but yeah,
Black
but
like the soul.
I'm a cappuccino guy
Yeah,
for sure.
no.
So
Right on, man. Well, Danny, like I said, dude, it's been really cool kind of seeing you guys just race, and like I know Hernandez, and like I said, his teammates with Summerhill. And so it was really cool to kind of get you on, kind of hear
yeah,
your side. I mean, you race with such aggression and like
yeah,
such competitiveness, but you're probably one of the softest souls that I've had on the podcast. You're just super nice dude,
I
man,
am.
like all around. And
Yeah,
so
yeah.
like
I
we
just
need
get
more of
scary
that.
on the bike.
Yeah, we just need more of that, man. And so it's really cool to kind of get to know you and like what you do for a living. And so, and guys, I will put all the links to his job as well as his team, as well as his team's organization, and Danny himself. Danny's super nice. I messaged him and he was responding in like 15 minutes. So I bet he would do the
Yeah.
same for you. So don't hesitate. Reach out, say hey, say you listen to the podcast. But other than that, Danny, I appreciate it, man.
Dude, thank you so much, man, for the opportunity. You're awesome.
All right, man. Cheers.
Thanks. Have a good one.